Hey, this is Mark Walsh from MTC Media. I feel like I've done a ton of these over the last 7 seasons or so here. Georgetown falls tonight, 70-54 to Villanova. The Hoyas have lost 10 in a row. They have not won since they got their only Big East win against DePaul. For the Hoyas, Rowan Brumbaugh led the team with 14 points. He was the best player on the floor tonight for Georgetown, and probably the only one who played a game worth talking about. Jay Heath ended up with 12. A lot of that came early, and no one else scored in double digits. And then you have this litter of roadkill of 3 for 15, 3 for 12, 0 for 3, 0 for 2. And it's just, this team is not good enough to have guys shoot like that. Nevertheless, multiple guys shoot that inefficient. For Villanova, best player on the floor was Eric Dixon, 11 points. 7 rebounds, and the reason why I say he was the best player on the floor is he impacts your coverage. So yeah, there was people who scored more points, but he impacts your coverage. That opened up the floor for guys like TJ Bamba, who had 14. Of course, the hot shooting Brendan Housen had 12 on 4 threes. Georgetown, I don't know why their coverage in the first half seemed to lose him too much. Nobody stepped out. If you're going to ride on his hip around screens, someone has to step out to take that away. He was stepping right into his shots. And as Cooley said after the game, a lot of that was just not doing what the scout says to do. And when you're saying that, and we're February, I know we're past Valentine's Day, we're February, in the middle of February, and you're making comments like that, you have to ask yourself, where is this locker room? Where is this team? Where is this program in year one? Because those things cannot be happening. You can get your ass kicked, especially when you're taking over what Patrick left. But you can't have it done in that sort of way. So Georgetown only scored in the first half 19 points. They were dreadful, but let's be all honest, even though Villanova had 28 points in the first half, they were also dreadful offensively. Let's not get that twisted. They weren't very good in the first 20 minutes. Neither one of these two teams were very good in the first 20 minutes. And the second 20 minutes, yeah, the offense stepped up. Georgetown hit some shots, and this is where I do agree with Cooley. The difference between the first half and the second half is, in the first half, they've missed open threes. There were open threes everywhere. At one time, there was an open corner three, and Wayne Bristol shoots it over the rim. They did not hit that corner three that they were getting good offensive action on. The screen and roll was causing a hard tag on the rim line by Villanova, which, especially when Rowan Brumbaugh was in the game, he was recognizing it early on and getting it to the corner, causing a long closeout for Villanova. They didn't make shots. Now, in the second half, in spurts, they did make those threes. They got the Villanova lead down to 4, but then after a timeout, Villanova ran 6 straight. Georgetown throwing the ball away, 12 turnovers. I know Ed said that it was a combination of their defense and poor decision making, and I will tell you that's not 50-50, because the majority of it was poor decision making. It wasn't anything that Villanova was doing defensively. It was just awful decisions. Jay Heath on a 2-on-3 fast break, leaving his feet to pass. Where are you going? Bro, where are you going? Guys taking one dribble too many and then having to throw through arms and hands and everything else. You know, things that I say as a high school coach, man, you can't be in a Power 6 conference and having to say that not only time after time after time in a single game, but game after game after game. You can lose and make progress. You can lose and make progress. Nobody's unrealistic. Everyone knows what this is. But dadgummit, you can't lose and look like this. Especially with St. John's coming to town next. Are you kidding me? St. John's is in Lenardi's next 4 out. They are playing for something. And if you don't have this locker room, and these guys don't have some pride, and these guys are still checked in and not checked out. If they're checked out, that game is going to be a 20-point game. Because Georgetown struggles with primary ball handlers, and St. John's is going to put the same amount of pressure in a different way, but the same amount of pressure as a team like Marquette. And then you've seen what those two games look like. They still have St. John's twice and a return trip to Villanova. Those are games at the beginning of the year you thought at the very least you could get a split at. But right now, I don't know if this team wins another game. It's like Groundhog Day out here. And that's one of the things about changing the program, changing the culture. Culture. It's a word that people have used so much that it doesn't mean anything. Or it doesn't mean as much as people think. Or it doesn't mean it's not as common as people think. But developing culture takes time. And in the transfer portal era, developing culture, if you don't already have it in your program, is hard. Because guys come in, guys come out. Guys come in, guys come out. Now, if you already have an established culture, like if you're a Kansas, or a team like that, or an identity like a Kentucky or a Duke, a culture like Houston, that is established where guys come in and they're coming there because they know what your culture is, and dadgummit, they want to be part of it. But trying to develop it at Georgetown after Georgetown allowed the previous coach to ruin it, and no one knows what this team is. I asked the same question for 6 years. When you say Georgetown Hoyas basketball, what's the identity? What's the identity? And no one still, to today that I'm standing here in the middle of the floor, no one still has an answer because none of us knows. And that is what's sad, is that at the very least in year one, you were hoping that there would be an identity. Even if your record was 5-17 or whatever, that there would be an established identity to help start laying the foundation of a culture. And right now, folks, we're not seeing it. So if you're here in D.C. and you just left this game, dadgummit, have a drink for me. I don't have time to have a drink. I'm not going to have a drink. Have a drink for me. This is Mark Washington, MTC Media.